While I was busy providing for us, you were busy with him. Mr. Davies here can keep you company from now on.
The fluorescent lights in the condo meeting room buzzed like angry wasps, casting harsh shadows across the faces of my neighbors. I sat in the back row, exhausted from another 16-hour day managing this building, watching my wife Samantha hold court near the front. She wore her expensive navy blazer, the one that cost more than most people's rent, and that practiced smile she reserved for social occasions. "Before we adjourn," she announced, standing gracefully, "I have a small confession to make." Her voice carried that honeyed tone that always preceded trouble. "I've been telling everyone my husband Eric is the perfect handyman, but honestly he's more like a broken appliance himself. Maybe someone should take him off my hands." Polite laughter rippled through the room. My jaw clenched as I recognized the setup. This wasn't spontaneous humor. This was calculated humiliation. Brandon Pierce, the 29-year-old tech entrepreneur from the penthouse, leaned forward with that smug grin I'd grown to despise. "I'll take him, Sam. My startup could use someone who knows how to fix things that are actually broken." The laughter grew louder. My wife's smile faltered slightly. She hadn't expected Brandon to play along quite so eagerly. But she recovered quickly, always the performer. "Actually, I have plenty of room at my place," she continued, her voice gaining confidence. "He could sleep in the guest room, permanently." The room erupted. Even Mrs. Quimby, the 70-year-old gossip from 4B, was chuckling behind her hand. I felt every eye in the room turn toward me, waiting for my reaction, expecting me to shrink into my chair like the beaten-down husband they all assumed I was. Instead, I stood up slowly, deliberately. The laughter died as I walked to the front of the room, my footsteps echoing in the sudden silence. "You know what, Sam?" I said, my voice calm and measured. "That's the first honest thing you've said in months. The guest room sounds perfect. At least then I won't have to pretend I don't know where you've been spending your nights." The color drained from her face. Brandon shifted uncomfortably in his seat. The room was so quiet I could hear the air conditioning humming in the walls. "Eric!" she hissed, her composure cracking. "What are you—" "Meeting adjourned," I announced, grabbing my toolbox. "I have actual work to do." I walked out without looking back, but I could feel the weight of 30 pairs of eyes following me. Behind me, I heard Sam's nervous laughter and her attempts to smooth things over with jokes about marital spats and men going through phases. But I wasn't going through a phase. I was going through a transformation. Before we deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. Back in our condo, I poured myself 3 fingers of bourbon and sat in my recliner. The one piece of furniture Sam hadn't replaced with her designer nonsense. The place looked like a showroom. All white leather and glass surfaces, everything chosen for appearance rather than comfort. Just like my marriage, I realized. My phone buzzed. A text from Sam. "Staying at my aunt's tonight. Can't stand looking at your face right now." I stared at the message for a long moment, then typed back, "Tell your ex he can have you soon." I hit send before I could reconsider. The response was immediate, 3 dots appearing and disappearing as she typed and retyped her reply. Finally, "What the hell is that supposed to mean?" "Figure it out," I replied. "You're smart enough to run my life. Should be easy." 20 minutes later, I heard her key in the lock. She burst through the door like a hurricane, her perfect hair disheveled, her makeup smudged. "What did you mean by that text?" she demanded, her voice shrill. "What ex?" "I don't have an ex. I mean, not recently. Not anyone you know." I took another sip of bourbon, studying her face. The panic in her eyes told me everything I needed to know. "Relax, Sam. I was just making conversation. You know how I love our little chats." She stood there for a moment, clearly torn between pressing the issue and letting it drop. Finally, she threw her purse on the counter hard enough to scatter the contents across the granite. "You're acting weird, Eric. Weirder than usual." Am I? Or am I just finally acting like myself instead of the doormat you married? She opened her mouth to respond, then seemed to think better of it. Instead, she stormed into the bedroom and slammed the door. I heard drawers opening and closing, hangers scraping across the closet rod. I finished my drink and walked to the kitchen, where her purse contents were scattered like evidence at a crime scene. Lipstick, breath mints, her phone, which was buzzing with notifications. The screen lit up with each new message, and I couldn't help but notice they were all from someone named B. "You okay, babe? What happened at the meeting? Should I come over?" I didn't touch the phone. I didn't need to. The pieces were falling into place with crystalline clarity. Sam emerged from the bedroom 20 minutes later, wheeling a small suitcase. She'd changed into jeans and a sweater, her real estate queen persona replaced by something more vulnerable. "I'm going to stay at Kelly's for a few days," she announced, not meeting my eyes. "We need some space to think." "Kelly's," I repeated. "Not your aunt's?" Her face flushed. "I meant Kelly's, obviously." "Obviously." I walked over and held the door open for her. "Drive safe. Wouldn't want anything to happen to you." She paused in the doorway, studying my face as if seeing me for the first time. "Eric, what's gotten into you?" I smiled, the first genuine smile I'd felt in months. Maybe I'm finally getting something out of me instead. After she left, I sat in the silence of our condo, listening to the familiar sounds of the building around me. Footsteps in the hallway above, the elevator chiming, the distant hum of conversation from neighboring units. This building was my responsibility, my domain. I knew every pipe, every wire, every secret these walls contained. And now I knew one more secret. My wife was having an affair with Brandon Pierce. The question wasn't whether I was going to do something about it. The question was how far I was willing to go. I walked to Sam's laptop, which she'd left open on the kitchen counter in her haste. The screen was still active, showing her email inbox. I didn't need to snoop. She'd made it easy for me. But as I reached for the computer, I hesitated. Once I crossed this line, there would be no going back. Our marriage, whatever was left of it, would be over. Then I remembered the laughter in that meeting room, the way she'd humiliated me in front of our neighbors, our friends, the casual cruelty of someone who'd stopped seeing me as a person and started seeing me as an obstacle. I opened her laptop and began to read. The first thing I discovered was that my wife had the digital security habits of a teenager. Her browser was logged into everything: email, social media, even her banking apps. She'd made it so easy that I almost felt guilty. Almost. I started with her text messages, which were synced to her laptop through some cloud service she'd probably forgotten about. The conversation with B went back 3 months, starting innocent enough. Discussions about property values, neighborhood gossip, complaints about HOA meetings. But by week 2, the tone had shifted. "Eric was being such a pain today," she'd written. "Sometimes I wonder why I married him." Brandon's response: "You deserve better. Someone who appreciates what they have. He used to be different, more ambitious. Now he's just maintenance." The word hit me like a slap. Maintenance, as if I were just another broken appliance in her perfect life. I scrolled deeper, watching their relationship evolve from emotional affair to something more explicit. The messages from last week made my stomach turn. "Can't wait to see you tomorrow," Brandon had written. "Wear that blue dress." "The one Eric bought me for our anniversary? Perfect." I closed the laptop and walked to the bathroom, splashing cold water on my face. In the mirror, I looked older than my 38 years. When had I become this person? When had I stopped fighting for what was mine? My phone rang. Tommy Kowalski, my old partner from the police force. We'd stayed close even after I left the department to take this building management job. a decision Sam had pushed for because it came with a free condo and better hours for family life, the family that never materialized. "Eric, you sound like garbage," Tommy said without preamble. "What's wrong?" "Nothing a good lawyer can't fix." "Ah, Sam finally push you over the edge?" Tommy had never liked my wife, though he'd been diplomatic about it over the years. Cops develop good instincts about people, and his instincts about Sam had been spot on. "Something like that. You still working security at that office complex downtown?" "Yeah, why?" "I might need some advice about surveillance equipment. Hypothetically." There was a pause. "Eric, whatever you're thinking, I'm not thinking anything illegal. Just thorough. Thorough I can help with. Stupid I cannot. Which category are we talking about here?" I looked around our condo, at all the expensive furniture and artwork Sam had chosen without consulting me, at the life she'd built around me instead of with me. "I'll let you know." After hanging up, I returned to Sam's laptop. Her email revealed another layer of the deception. She'd been corresponding with a divorce attorney for 2 weeks. The consultation was scheduled for next Monday. "I need to understand my options," she'd written. "My husband manages our building, so there might be complications with the property. Also, I'd prefer to handle this quietly. My reputation in the real estate community is important." The attorney's response was clinical and expensive. "We can discuss asset protection and discretion during our consultation. My retainer is $10,000. Asset protection." She was planning to take me to the cleaners while sneaking around with the golden boy from the penthouse. The same penthouse where she'd probably been spending her girls' nights out and late showings. I opened a new browser window and began my own research. If Sam wanted to play games, I'd show her what a real player looked like. The next morning, I was in the building's maintenance office by 6 a.m., reviewing security footage from the past month. As property manager, I had access to all the cameras in common areas: lobby, elevators, parking garage, rooftop deck. I couldn't monitor private units, but I could see who went where and when. The pattern was obvious once I knew what to look for. 3 nights a week, Sam would leave our condo around 8 p.m., take the elevator to the penthouse floor, and not return until after midnight. Sometimes she wouldn't come home at all. I burned the relevant footage to a USB drive and locked it in my desk drawer, evidence for later. My phone buzzed with a text from Sam. "Still staying at Kelly's. Need a few more days to think." I replied, "Take all the time you need. I'm not going anywhere." That was true. I wasn't going anywhere. But that didn't mean I was going to sit still. I spent the morning doing my regular rounds, checking HVAC systems, responding to maintenance requests, dealing with the usual complaints about noise and parking. Normal building manager stuff. But I was also observing, cataloging, planning. Mrs. Quimby from 4B flagged me down in the hallway. She was the building's unofficial information hub, a sweet old lady with the observational skills of a private investigator. "Eric, dear, is everything all right with you and Samantha? I saw her leaving with luggage yesterday." "Just a little vacation," I said. "She's been working too hard." "Oh, that's nice. Though I have to say, she's been working very late hours lately. I see her coming and going at all hours. Real estate must be booming." Mrs. Quimby's eyes twinkled with mischief. She knew exactly what she was telling me. "Business is good," I agreed. "Lots of private showings." "I'm sure. Well, if you need anything, a home-cooked meal, someone to talk to, you know where to find me." I thanked her and continued my rounds, but her words stuck with me. Mrs. Quimby saw everything that happened in this building. If I needed witnesses to Sam's behavior, I had them. Around noon, I was fixing a leaky faucet in 7C when I heard familiar laughter in the hallway. Through the peephole, I watched Sam and Brandon walking toward the elevator together. She was wearing the blue dress, the anniversary dress, and carrying a bottle of champagne. They were heading to his penthouse, in broad daylight, in our building, where our neighbors could see them. The arrogance was breathtaking. I finished the faucet repair and took the stairs to the basement where I kept my workshop. I needed to think, to plan, to channel the rage building in my chest into something productive. On my workbench, I had the USB drive with the security footage, printouts of Sam's text messages, and a legal pad where I'd been sketching out a timeline of her affair. 3 months of lies, 3 months of humiliation, 3 months of her treating me like an obstacle to her happiness. My phone rang again. This time it was Derek, the young handyman who helped me with the bigger maintenance jobs. He was a good kid, 22 years old, eager to learn, and completely loyal to me. Mr. Rollins, I'm in the parking garage and there's something weird going on with Mr. Pierce's Tesla. Looks like someone messed with it. I frowned. What kind of mess? Well, it's wrapped in plastic wrap, like completely covered, and there are papers stuck under the windshield wipers. I hadn't done that, which meant someone else in the building was playing games. I'll be right down. In the parking garage, Brandon's silver Tesla looked like a giant Christmas present, completely wrapped in industrial plastic. The papers under the wipers were printouts, screenshots of text messages between Sam and Brandon, along with a note, "Thought the building should know what kind of neighbors we have." Derek stood beside the car, trying not to laugh. "Should I unwrap it?" "Leave it," I said. "Mr. Pierce can handle his own problems." But I was curious about who had done this. The plastic wrap was the heavy-duty stuff we used for moving furniture, the kind kept in the maintenance supply room. Someone with access had decided to send Brandon a message. As if summoned by our conversation, the elevator dinged and Brandon emerged, still wearing yesterday's clothes. His hair was disheveled and he looked like he'd spent the night celebrating. He stopped short when he saw his car. "What the hell is this?" "Looks like someone's idea of a joke," I said, keeping my voice neutral. Brandon's face turned red as he read the printed messages. "This is harassment. This is illegal." "Is it?" I asked. "Looks like public information to me. These are your text messages, right?" He glared at me, clearly suspecting I was responsible. "You did this." "I've been fixing Mrs. Patterson's faucet all morning. Derek can vouch for me." Derek nodded enthusiastically. "Mr. Rollins was with me the whole time." Brandon began tearing at the plastic wrap, his movements frantic and angry. The text message printouts scattered across the concrete floor, and I noticed other residents gathering to watch the show. "This is insane," Brandon muttered. "Absolutely insane." "You should probably be more careful about your digital security," I suggested helpfully. "Never know who might be reading your private conversations." He shot me another suspicious look but didn't respond. Within 10 minutes, he'd freed his car and driven away, leaving the torn plastic and scattered papers behind. Derek and I cleaned up the mess in silence, but I could see the questions in his eyes. "Mr. Rollins," he finally said, "did you really not do that?" I looked at him seriously. "Derek, I would never waste perfectly good plastic wrap on a prank." He grinned. "Right, of course not." But as we worked, I was thinking about the real culprit. Someone in this building had access to the maintenance supplies, knowledge of the affair, and the motivation to embarrass Brandon publicly. Someone who'd been watching and waiting for the right moment to strike. Someone who might be willing to help me take this game to the next level. That evening, I was reviewing work orders in my office when Mrs. Quimby knocked on my door. She carried a plate of homemade cookies and wore the expression of someone with important news to share. "I thought you might be hungry," she said, settling into the chair across from my desk. "Busy day in the parking garage, I heard." "News travels fast around here." "Oh, honey, news doesn't travel in this building. It sprints." She leaned forward conspiratorially. "I saw your wife leave with that Pierce boy again this afternoon. They looked quite cozy." I bit into a chocolate chip cookie, buying time to think. Mrs. Quimby was offering me information, but she was also fishing for my reaction. Sam's been showing him some properties, I said carefully. Business relationship. Mrs. Quimby's laugh was sharp as broken glass. Business, of course. The kind of business that requires champagne and overnight stays. I met her eyes. What exactly are you telling me, Mrs. Quimby? I'm telling you that I've been watching this building for 15 years, and I know the difference between business and monkey business. She paused, studying my face. I'm also telling you that some people in this building think you're getting a raw deal. Some people? Derek, for starters. That boy worships you. Mike from security thinks you're getting played. Even Marla from 8B has been asking questions, though she's too scared of your wife to say anything directly. This was news. I'd assumed most of the residents sided with Sam. She was charming, successful, and socially connected. I was just the maintenance guy. And what do you think, Mrs. Quimby? She smiled, and for a moment I saw the sharp intelligence behind her grandmother facade. I think your wife made a mistake when she decided to conduct her affair in the building where her husband works. And I think she's about to learn that actions have consequences. Hypothetically speaking, of course. Oh, absolutely hypothetically. She stood to leave, then paused at the door. Eric, dear, if you ever need someone to witness anything, hypothetically, I take very detailed notes about building activities. For security purposes, you understand? After she left, I sat in my office thinking about unexpected allies and strategic opportunities. Mrs. Quimby was offering to be my eyes and ears. Derek was already loyal. Mike from security could provide access to additional footage. I was building a team without even trying. My phone buzzed with a text from Tommy. Free for dinner? Got some information you might find interesting. We met at Murphy's, a cop bar downtown, where Tommy still hung out with his former colleagues. The place was dark and loud, perfect for private conversations. So, Tommy said after we'd ordered, I did some research on your boy Brandon Pierce. He's not my boy. Figure of speech. Anyway, interesting guy. His startup is called Innovative Solutions, which tells you nothing about what they actually do. Turns out they're some kind of app development company, but they've never released a product. How do they make money? That's the interesting part. They don't. They're burning through investor funding like it's gasoline. Word is they're about 6 months from bankruptcy. I absorbed this information while watching the local news on the bar's television. Brandon had always flashed money around. Expensive car, penthouse rent, designer clothes. If he was going broke, he was hiding it well. There's more, Tommy continued. I talked to a buddy who works financial crimes. Pierce has been moving money around in some creative ways. Nothing obviously illegal, but the kind of thing that raises flags. What kind of flags? The kind that suggest he might be skimming from his investors, or maybe planning to disappear with whatever's left in the company accounts. This was better than I'd hoped. If Brandon was a financial liability, Sam's affair wasn't just personal betrayal, it was a potential disaster for her real estate career. Her reputation was everything in that business. Tommy, hypothetically, if someone wanted to make sure the right people knew about these financial irregularities, hypothetically, that someone would need to be very careful about how they shared that information. Anonymous tips to regulatory agencies are one thing, spreading rumors is another. Of course. Hypothetically. We finished our beers in comfortable silence, both of us understanding what hadn't been said directly. When I got home, Sam was waiting in the living room. She'd let herself in with her key and was sitting on the white leather sofa, still wearing the blue dress from her afternoon rendezvous. We need to talk, she said without preamble. Do we? I thought you needed space to think. I've been thinking. About us. About our marriage, about what we both want. I poured myself a bourbon and sat in my recliner, maintaining distance between us. And what conclusion did you reach? She fidgeted with her wedding ring, sliding it up and down her finger. I think we've grown apart. We want different things. We're different people than we were when we got married. That's certainly true. Eric, I think we should consider a trial separation, maybe some counseling, see if we can figure out if there's anything left worth saving. I studied her face, looking for tells. She was nervous, but determined, like someone who'd rehearsed this conversation. A trial separation, I repeated. You move out, I stay here, we see other people? I didn't say anything about seeing other people. You didn't have to. Her face flushed. What's that supposed to mean? It means I'm not stupid, Sam. It means I know exactly what kind of thinking you've been doing and exactly who you've been doing it with. She stood up abruptly, her composure cracking. I don't know what you're implying, but I'm not implying anything. I'm stating facts. You're having an affair with Brandon Pierce. You've been planning to leave me for weeks. You've already consulted a divorce attorney. The only question is whether you're going to keep lying about it. The color drained from her face. For a moment, she looked genuinely shocked that I knew. How did you... She caught herself. Eric, it's not what you think. Really? What is it then? It's complicated. I laughed, surprising both of us. Complicated. That's your explanation for 3 months of sneaking around behind my back? You don't understand. Brandon and I, we connect on a level that you and I never have. He gets my ambitions, my dreams. He supports my career instead of just tolerating it. He supports your career by texting you about blue dresses and overnight visits. Her mouth fell open. You read my messages. You left your laptop open multiple times, almost like you wanted me to find out. She sank back onto the sofa, her head in her hands. Eric, I'm sorry. I never meant for it to happen this way. Which part? The affair or getting caught? Both. Neither. I don't know. She looked up at me with tears in her eyes. I do care about you. I always will. But I'm not happy. I haven't been happy for a long time. And you think Brandon Pierce is going to make you happy? Maybe. I don't know. But I know staying in this marriage won't. I finished my bourbon and set the glass down carefully. Okay. Okay? Okay. You want out. I get it. But we're going to do this my way, not yours. What does that mean? It means no more sneaking around, no more lies, no more pretending this is about space to think or trial separations. You want to be with Brandon? Go be with Brandon. But don't insult my intelligence by pretending this is anything other than what it is. She stared at me, clearly not expecting this reaction. You're not going to fight for us? Fight for what? A marriage where my wife publicly humiliates me and then sneaks off to her lover's penthouse? A relationship where I'm described as maintenance? What exactly am I supposed to fight for, Sam? She had no answer for that. I'll make this easy for you, I continued. Pack whatever you want. Move in with Brandon or Kelly or whoever will have you. We'll figure out the legal stuff later. Eric, you're scaring me. This isn't like you. No, this is exactly like me. This is who I was before I spent 5 years trying to be the husband you wanted. Turns out that guy was never good enough anyway. She left an hour later with 2 suitcases and a promise to be in touch about arrangements. I watched from the window as Brandon's Tesla pulled up to collect her, right in front of the building where all our neighbors could see. The arrogance was still breathtaking, but now it was also useful. I opened my laptop and began typing an email to the building's HOA board. If Sam and Brandon wanted to make their relationship public, I was happy to help them get all the attention they deserved. The next morning I found Derek in the lobby, mopping floors and humming off-key. He looked up when I approached, his expression somewhere between sympathy and curiosity. Morning, Mr. Rollins. How are you holding up? Better than expected. Listen, I need a favor. Anything. I handed him a manila envelope. I need you to slip this under every door in the building, but not all at once. Spread it out over the day. Make it look random. Derek peered into the envelope and whistled low. These are photos. Security camera stills, all from public areas, all completely legal. The photos showed Sam and Brandon entering and leaving elevators together, sharing intimate moments on the rooftop deck and embracing in the parking garage. Nothing explicit, but unmistakably romantic. Mr. Rollins, are you sure about this? They made it public when they decided to conduct their affair in our building. I'm just helping spread the news. Derek grinned. You got it, boss. By noon, the photos were circulating throughout the building. My phone started ringing with calls from neighbors, some offering support, others fishing for gossip, a few complaining about inappropriate distribution of private images. I handled each call the same way. These are security photos from public areas of our building. If residents have concerns about inappropriate behavior in common spaces, they should address them with the individuals involved. Mrs. Quimby called around 2 p.m., barely containing her laughter. Eric, dear, you've caused quite a stir. Marla from 8B is beside herself. She keeps saying she had no idea about Sam and that young man. Shocking, I said dryly. Oh, it gets better. Brandon Pierce has been calling the front desk all morning, demanding to know who distributed the photos. Mike told him to file a complaint with building management. And who would that be? Why, you, of course. I was still chuckling when Sam called, her voice shrill with rage. Eric, what the hell do you think you're doing? Building management, same as always. You distributed private photos of me to our neighbors. That's harassment. That's probably illegal. Actually, they're security photos from public areas. And I didn't distribute anything. I have no idea how those images got out. Don't lie to me. I know this was you. Sam, I've been very busy today. Mrs. Patterson's garbage disposal is acting up. The elevator in the north wing needs maintenance, and someone reported suspicious activity in the parking garage. You know how it is. Building management never stops. There was a long pause. You're enjoying this? I'm doing my job. If you and Brandon have concerns about building security, you're welcome to file a formal complaint. This isn't over. You're right. It's just getting started. That evening, I was in my workshop when Tommy arrived with a six-pack and a grim expression. Heard you've been stirring up trouble, he said, settling into a folding chair. Just keeping the residents informed. Eric, I'm going to give you some free advice as your friend. Be careful. What you're doing, it's not illegal, but it's walking a fine line. What line is that? The line between justified revenge and harassment. Right now, you're documenting their public behavior and sharing factual information. But if you escalate this into something personal or vindictive, you could find yourself in legal trouble. I cracked open a beer and considered his words. What if I told you I have information about Brandon's business practices? Information that suggests he's defrauding investors? I'd tell you to be very careful about how you use that information. Anonymous tips to appropriate authorities are one thing. Public accusations are another. And if I told you Sam has been hiding assets and planning to leave me with nothing? I'd tell you to document everything and get a good lawyer. Already done. Tommy studied my face in the dim light of the workshop. You've changed, Eric. I'm not sure if that's good or bad. It's necessary. We drank in silence for a while, listening to the sounds of the building around us. Finally, Tommy spoke again. What's your end game here? What do you actually want? I want them to face consequences for their actions. I want Sam to understand that humiliating me in public has a price. I want Brandon to learn that other people's marriages aren't his playground. And after that? After that, I want to be left alone to rebuild my life without their drama. That's fair. Just remember, revenge is a dish best served cold, but it can also poison the chef. After Tommy left, I sat in my workshop thinking about endgames and consequences. On my workbench, I had folders full of evidence. Financial records, security footage, text messages, witness statements from Mrs. Quimby and other residents. I had enough material to destroy both Sam and Brandon's reputations completely. The question was how far I was willing to go. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "This is Kelly. We need to talk. Tomorrow, 2 p.m., coffee shop on Main Street. Come alone." Kelly was Sam's best friend, the social media influencer who'd been enabling the affair from the beginning. If she wanted to meet, it meant Sam was getting desperate. I texted back, "I'll be there." The next afternoon, I found Kelly waiting in a corner booth at the coffee shop, her perfectly styled blonde hair and designer outfit making her look like she'd stepped out of a magazine. She was nervous, fidgeting with her phone and checking the door every few seconds. "Eric," she said as I sat down, "thank you for coming." "What do you want, Kelly?" "I want you to stop whatever you're doing to Sam and Brandon. This has gone far enough." "Has it? I'm just sharing information with my neighbors, public safety and all that." "You're ruining their lives. They're ruining their own lives. I'm just providing documentation." Kelly leaned forward, her voice dropping to a whisper. "Look, I know Sam made mistakes. The affair was wrong. The way she treated you was wrong. But she's my friend, and she's genuinely scared of what you might do next. She should be. Eric, please, can't you just let them be together, file for divorce, split your assets, move on with your life?" "Is that what Sam sent you to say?" Kelly's face flushed. "She doesn't know I'm here. This was my idea." "Really? Because it sounds like you're negotiating on her behalf." "I'm trying to prevent this situation from getting worse." I studied Kelly's face, looking for tells. She was definitely nervous, but there was something else. Guilt, maybe, or fear. "Kelly, what aren't you telling me?" "Nothing. I just think—" "You're lying. You know something about Brandon, don't you? Something that makes you think Sam is making a mistake." Her composure cracked slightly. "I don't know what you mean." "Sure you do. You know Brandon's broke. You know his business is failing. You probably know he's been juggling multiple women, just like he juggled multiple investors." Kelly's face went white. "How did you—" "I do my homework. The question is, does Sam know? Or is she about to find out the hard way that her Prince Charming is actually a fraud?" Kelly stared at her coffee cup, clearly struggling with something. "He's been lying to her," she finally whispered. "About everything. The money, the business, his feelings. I tried to warn her, but she's so caught up in the romance of it all." "And you're worried that when she finds out the truth, she'll come crawling back to me?" "I'm worried she'll have nowhere to go. You're destroying her reputation, Brandon's using her, and she's too proud to admit she made a mistake." I felt a flicker of something, not quite sympathy, but not satisfaction either. "Kelly, Sam made her choice. She chose to humiliate me publicly, conduct an affair in our building, and plan to leave me with nothing. Those choices have consequences. But you could choose to be the bigger person. You could choose forgiveness." "I could. But I won't." Kelly's eyes filled with tears. "What happened to you, Eric? You used to be one of the good guys." "The good guys finish last. Sam taught me that." I left Kelly crying in the coffee shop and walked back to the building, thinking about choices and consequences. Sam had chosen Brandon over me. Brandon had chosen easy money over honest work. Kelly had chosen to enable their affair instead of being a real friend. Now they were all going to live with the results of those choices. And I was just getting started. 2 days after my meeting with Kelly, the first anonymous tip reached the Massachusetts Securities Division. Someone had provided detailed information about Brandon Pierce's business practices, including evidence of investor fraud and misappropriation of funds. I know this because Mrs. Quimby, who had a nephew working in the state attorney general's office, mentioned it during our morning coffee in the lobby. "Terrible thing," she said, shaking her head. "Young man like that, throwing his life away for easy money. Though I suppose it's not surprising given his character." "His character?" "Oh, honey, I've been watching that boy for months. The way he treats women, the way he flashes money around, the way he thinks rules don't apply to him. A person's true nature always shows eventually. That afternoon, Brandon's Tesla was gone from the parking garage. According to Mike from security, 2 men in suits had come by around noon, asking questions about Brandon's residence and financial status. Looked like federal agents, Mike told me as we reviewed the security logs. Real serious types. They spent about an hour in his penthouse, came down with boxes of documents. Huh. Hope everything's okay. Yeah, I'm sure it's nothing. But it wasn't nothing. By evening, the building was buzzing with rumors about investigations and arrests. Derek mentioned seeing Brandon's name in an online news article about startup fraud. Mrs. Quimby reported that the penthouse was empty. Brandon had apparently left town in a hurry. My phone rang around 8 p.m., Sam sobbing. "Eric, please, I need to come home. Something terrible has happened." What happened? Brandon's gone. The police came to his office today and his apartment, and he just disappeared. Left me a note saying he had to handle some business and would be in touch soon. I'm sorry to hear that. I don't think you understand. He took money. A lot of money. Some of it was mine. This was news. Your money? I invested in his company. $50,000 from my personal account. He said it was a sure thing that we'd make it back 10 times over. I closed my eyes, feeling a mixture of satisfaction and genuine pity. Sam, how could you be so stupid? Don't. Please don't. I know I messed up. I know I hurt you. But I need help. I need somewhere to stay while I figure this out. You can stay at Kelly's. Kelly won't return my calls. I think she's mad at me about something. Of course she was. Kelly had tried to warn Sam about Brandon, and Sam had ignored her. Now Kelly was probably worried about her own involvement in the mess. What about your aunt? Eric, please. I know I don't deserve your help. I know I treated you terribly. But I'm scared, and I don't have anywhere else to go. I looked around our condo, at all the expensive furniture and artwork she'd chosen, at the life she'd built, and then abandoned for a man who turned out to be a criminal. You can sleep on the couch, I said finally. One night. Tomorrow you figure out something else. She arrived an hour later with a single suitcase and red eyes from crying. She looked smaller somehow, diminished by the events of the day. Thank you, she said quietly. I know you didn't have to do this. No, I didn't. She sat on the white leather sofa that had cost more than most people's cars, looking lost and fragile. Eric, I need to tell you something. About the money Brandon took. I'm listening. It wasn't just my investment money. He had access to some of my client accounts for real estate transactions. I think he might have taken money from those too. My stomach dropped. Sam, please tell me you didn't give a man you'd known for 3 months access to your business accounts. He said he wanted to help. He said he understood real estate investment better than I did. He was so convincing, so confident. How much money are we talking about? Maybe 200,000, maybe more. I stared at her, trying to process the magnitude of her stupidity. Sam, that's not just fraud. That's your career, your license, your reputation, everything you worked for. I know. She was crying again. I know I ruined everything. My marriage, my career, my life. All for a man who turned out to be a liar and a thief. I should have felt vindicated. This was better revenge than anything I could have planned. Sam had destroyed herself more thoroughly than I ever could have, but looking at her crying on our couch, I mostly felt tired. What do you want from me, Sam? I want you to forgive me. I want to try to make this right. I want us to work together to get through this. Work together how? I don't know. Maybe we could try again. Go to counseling. Start over. I laughed, surprising both of us. Start over? Sam, 3 days ago you were planning to take half my assets and run off with your boyfriend. Now that he's turned out to be a criminal, you want to start over? People make mistakes. This wasn't a mistake. This was a series of deliberate choices. You chose to humiliate me publicly. You chose to have an affair. You chose to plan a divorce behind my back. You chose to give a con man access to your business accounts. These weren't accidents, Sam. They were decisions. She looked up at me with desperate eyes. So what happens now? Now you face the consequences of your decisions. You call your lawyer, you call your insurance company, you call the police, you figure out how to clean up the mess you made. And us? There is no us. There hasn't been an us for months. She spent the night crying on the couch while I lay awake in our bedroom, staring at the ceiling and thinking about justice and revenge, and the strange way life sometimes takes care of problems without any help from us. In the morning, Sam was gone. She'd left a note on the kitchen counter. "Thank you for letting me stay. I'm going to my sister's in California while I sort this out. I'll be in touch about the divorce paperwork." I crumpled the note and threw it away, then made coffee and sat in my recliner, looking out at the city waking up below. My phone buzzed with a text from Tommy. "Saw the news about Pierce. You okay?" "Better than okay," I texted back. "Justice has a sense of humor. What about Sam? What about her? You going to be all right?" I thought about that question while I finished my coffee. Was I going to be all right? My marriage was over, my wife was probably facing criminal charges, and I was alone in a condo full of furniture I'd never liked. But I was also free. Free from the constant criticism, the social humiliation, the feeling that I was never good enough. Free to be myself instead of the man Sam had wanted me to become. "Yeah," I texted back. "I'm going to be fine." And for the first time in months, I actually believed it. The next few weeks brought a steady stream of developments. Brandon Pierce was arrested in Florida, charged with multiple counts of fraud and embezzlement. Sam's real estate license was suspended pending investigation. The building's HOA board officially thanked me for maintaining security and resident safety during a difficult period. Mrs. Quimby brought me cookies and gossip. Derek helped me redecorate the condo, replacing Sam's cold designer pieces with furniture that actually felt like home. Tommy introduced me to a divorce attorney who specialized in cases involving financial fraud. Life moved on. One evening, as I was finishing up some paperwork in my office, I got a call from an unknown number. "Eric? It's Kelly." "Kelly, how are you?" "I'm okay. Listen, I wanted to apologize for how I handled things. I should have warned Sam about Brandon sooner. I should have been a better friend to both of you." Water under the bridge. "I also wanted to ask you something. Sam's been calling me from California. She's not doing well. She lost her license, she's facing charges, and she's completely broke. She asked me to call you." "What does she want?" "She wants to know if you'd consider helping her with legal expenses. She says she'll sign any divorce papers you want, give up any claim to your assets, whatever you ask. She just needs help with the lawyers." I thought about Sam, alone and scared 3,000 miles away, facing the consequences of her choices. "Tell her no," I said finally. "Eric, tell her that actions have consequences. Tell her that I hope she learns from this experience. And tell her that I'm moving on with my life, and she should do the same." That's harsh. That's fair. I hung up and returned to my paperwork, feeling something I hadn't experienced in years. Peace. Outside my office window, the building hummed with the quiet sounds of people living their lives. Mrs. Quimby was probably watching her evening news programs. Derek was finishing his maintenance rounds. Mike was settling in for his night shift at the security desk. This was my world now. Not perfect, but honest. Not glamorous, but real. And for the first time since that humiliating night in the condo meeting room, I was exactly where I wanted to be. The solution, it turned out, hadn't been revenge at all. It had been patience, and sometimes that's enough.